It's not season 10.
And now, well, he does a lot of damage, man.
That doesn't mean he came out in season 10.
It doesn't matter.
Though,
He represents the problems with season 10 for me. That's what it is.
He feels season 10.
He feels season 10. But looking at the opposite side, this means that even with all those bans towards Kanavi in the jungle, well, cool. Kanavi's going to get first pick here. Elise is on the board. Jarvan is there for him if he wants. Camille, I'm what? What?
I don't think it's first pickable. I think even if you want to go for the Camille. But I guess you have your top lane matchup already pretty much locked in. It's going to be the Malphite. It's going to be the Mordekaiser locked on in the end. And Kanavi could well fall back to that Rek'Sai pick. That's what I would expect. The Nidalee a pocket pick of his. He's just going to be cycling until he decides what to settle on.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go back. I think it's either Rek'Sai or the Elise. I think they give two very strong parties. Maybe tending towards the Rek'Sai now more with the Mordekaiser locked in. You don't have to go for such a AP-heavy stall. If you do lock in the Elise here, I feel like it's going to tell the other team, hey, look, we're going to go for an AD mid laner, and they can start to ban that away, or with that knowledge, pick matchups that are good into the likes of Qiyana or Yasuo and this kind of stuff.
I wonder if that's some kind of little draft micro strategy there. Hover junglers the entire time, then swap to the LeBlanc at the last second. Try and reduce the strategic time available to Vici Gaming. But I love how long he hovered on the Zac as well. It's like, he's not going to log that in. Kanavi play a tank. A tank jungle be played in the LPL. I don't think so, buddy.
That's not how we roll. It's definitely not how Kanavi rolls. Now I want to see what this last pick is going to be. Field. Look. I see Ornn. I see Miss Fortune. I'm a simple man. I want to see a Braum pick. I think Braum does so well into both of these, and you can shut down the rest of the damage that's coming through from the follow-up damage from the Cataclysm on the Jarvan. But they do realize, hey, look, we've already got a very pinched jungle pool. We want to make sure Kanavi gets onto something comfortable, so we're going to have to sacrifice something here. And I think it's going to be AD carries. I think Vici are just going to get rid of the Varus, get rid of stuff like the Ezreal, and then give themselves a nice solid time in that bottom lane.
Rek'Sai once again the pick here for Kanavi, and I think that maybe this pick just coming out of sheer fear that Vici Gaming will continue to ban every jungler in the game if he doesn't lock something in.
I mean, wouldn't you? If you're against Kanavi and you've already got 3 of his picks banned away and he has the audacity to not lock in something in first rotation, you definitely take those off the board. Not going to be the 80 carries banned by Vici though, looking instead to go, right, chances are you're looking for a Varus pick here. We're going to take away the Thresh, more than likely take away the Braum, the 2 picks you like to pair with this. So either you go with the Varus and pick the Tam Kench, which means we've got control on the bottom side of the map, or you're going to be forced onto something like Ezreal, which again means we're going to have pushing pressure in the bottom side of the map.
We'll see if that's how it will come to pass here. And on the other side of things, JDG focusing their bans towards the mid lane here. Obviously, Yagao is already going to have his LeBlanc locked in. Now they're just looking for a good matchup for it.
Well, getting rid of the Zoe means it should be a little bit of an easier one. Lissandra is the tended towards one. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's just a case of you survive and then LeBlanc still does LeBlanc things later on. We'll have to see if that is the pick that Zeka will want to take into the LeBlanc matchup though.
Still time for them to decide, as it looks like the AD carry. Although, last time they were hovering a bunch of characters from one role, they locked something else, so I'll have to wait and see. It's the Xayah, though, coming in for Loken.
So it looks like we will be going for Xayah Rakan, unless this is just a case of, right, we're going to see if Maestro can pick away the Rakan here, and then you go...
100% win rate. I'm just saying.
Oh, hell yeah.
Over a 2% pick rate, but it's 100%.
I don't even know how many games we've had for 2% to be relevant.
It's going to be 1, maybe 2 at most. Yeah. Well, I mean, it still counts, right? Still counts.
Well, this is funky. I'm liking this. So instead of going with Lissandra directly, you still go with a similar style, an Aftershock mid laner that can CC this LeBlanc as she goes in and try and turn that damage. Plus, you've got this fantastic combo now of the Jarvan with the Galio, and you put that Ornn in with the mix as well. This is a churning pot of damage for Vici Gaming.
It's going to be Zeka taking the Galio towards the mid lane here. It's something that we saw Icon playing from OMG a couple of days ago. It's not a standard pick, but it is something that's been sneaking into the meta a little bit, and I like the takeaway of the Rakan.
Yeah, look, you're not going to get any Xayah Rakan around here. I feel like you go with something like the Leone. Works very well into Rakan, especially. You've also... Actually, this is a bit of a hard one. I don't know between Nautilus and Leone. I think there's pretty much a toss-up between the two. Because on one case, the Nautilus can work better in a peel scenario. And I don't really think you want to be going in hard engage as a Leone into a composition that has an Ornn, a Jarvan, and a Galio.
Well, the Nautilus will be the lock-in the end. And we have a whole bunch of team fight on the side of Vici Gaming. This doesn't feel like the same kind of composition we've been saying in game number 1 and game number 2. They see that the Cogmore doesn't work, and they switch up styles entirely.
This is a bit of a difficult team fight for JDG to navigate. In theory, they want to play this front to back, have the Mordekaiser come in with the Xayah and push through, have the LeBlanc try and come in on a flank to pick off the likes of that Miss Fortune in the backline, because no one else is really squishy on this lineup. On the opposite side, though, very clearly, we hate this person and we're going to hate this person right now. You've got everyone diving in, wants to make sure that they delete whoever it is. And in my head, love to be able to get onto the Xayah, but because she's got the Featherstorm, makes it a little bit more difficult. So I'd imagine instead they're going to be looking for the likes of Kanavi or even the Nautilus in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, you say that they go for one person particularly. If the Cataclysm's good, the bullet time will hit everybody. It's a powerful, powerful team fight that VG have drafted for themselves. JDG, it feels like they need to be in the lead with this composition. It feels like they need to get ahead early and snowball if they want to find a victory.
It's also that they need to have full knowledge of where the enemy team is at all points in time. If JDG fall behind, they lose vision control, it becomes very easy for Vici to operate this sort of composition, where Rakan can come out of a bush. You've got Galio who can get a big old taunt as well, or even Jarvan, flag and drag. A lot of distance we've already talked about that can be covered. On the opposite side, though, if JDG are the ones that are in the lead and they're the ones that are controlling the pace, well, they're in a pretty good spot. I mean, crit AD carries can do work against some of these tanks. There also isn't a huge amount of damage that comes out unless the Miss Fortune is ahead. So I'd imagine if I'm Kanavi, I'm trying to figure out a path that'll get me quickly down to the bottom side, kill this Miss Fortune as often as I can, and allow us to get to this mid game with no damage from the AD carry.
Yagao stepping on up into the mid lane. Him and Zeka just going to be staring each other down to start things off. And the sweeper here for Kanavi. But I don't think he went for the yellow trinket first. I can't see any wards that have been placed. I think he just started off with the sweeper.
Imagine you're correct. We're also going to see LvMao swapping over to that sweeper. So again, this is just doubling down on clearing out vision to allow Kanavi to play around the spot side. One of the beautiful things about the Rek'Sai pick is that you can start off in a camp by yourself. So that'll allow Loken and LvMao to hit this wave first. They can get a good push going in, have that wave bounce back, and allow iBoy and Maestro to overextend and open up for Kanavi. Ideally, Kanavi would love to if this was actually the opposite sides of the map, so then he could come in and gank from behind them, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case this time around.
Not for now, at least. We'll see whether or not that's the case later on, as LvMao finds a nice little hook onto iBoy, meaning that this trade can be a little bit more even than it looked like it was going to be to start off with. But Cheiftain, he wants some action early on. Finds the ward though, realizes he can't force the issue here, and will back away.
Look at where he's starting the path though. Cheiftain needs help here. Kanavi is just over the wall.
I don't know who wins this one, but the flag and drag will be available for Cheiftain. LvMao heading on over to the blue buff though will help Kanavi secure his objective. Kanavi knows this is going on. Patience bar incredibly low, but it's still aggroed for now, and Maestro roaming over. Cheiftain will be able to secure this blue buff for himself with the smite. Yagao looking for a fight with Zeka, but can't commit to anything. It's a nice play from VG to be aggressive.
So we were just saying Loken and LvMao can approach this wave and push it in faster, but with Cheiftain showing, they had to back away. It gave iBoy and Maestro the ability to push in the wave. Loken and LvMao stuck under turret, and Kanavi has to forego his jungle. So now Kanavi's set behind, but with all that waiting about, look, it's not the end of the world. The most experience that you get for your camps is actually on the Gromp and on the Krugs. So losing out on a blue buff doesn't really mean anything to a jungler that doesn't use mana.
So not the end of the world for Kanavi here on the Rek'Sai, and he will be able to get the bot side scuttle crab for himself. Nice little dodge there from Yagao. Avoids the Justice Punch. And in the meantime, both of our junglers just going to be trading scuttles, and Cheiftain hoping to find an opportunity. He's been very proactive so far this game.
705, not in the best of spots here.
That's going to be the pull on in the knock up there. The 705, he's got his flash, but he knows he can't get out of this one. Doesn't even waste it. And I'm glad to see that, because if he'd used the flash, obviously it would have been followed. He still would have gone down.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate. Cheiftain have to sneak in behind them. Now Cube will shove in this wave, get an early back, and will also be able to walk back to lane in this scenario. So maybe we see some antics down in the bottom lane from Vici Gaming to try and utilize the advantage Cheiftain and Cube just got.
iBoy Maestro stepping on forwards. Kanavi going to take this opportunity to recall here. We'll see if he can finish his jungle item just yet. Doesn't look like it. Oh, actually he can. I'm telling Porkies. So he's going to be heading back out onto the map, and it's time for him to answer, because so far Cheiftain has been really setting the pace when it comes to the jungle.
It's going to be hard for him to try and dictate the jungle pace, though. Cheiftain, with that nice play in the early stages, set Kanavi just off kilter a little bit. The gank in the top lane means that now Cheiftain can set up really well for this dragon that's about to spawn in 20 seconds. And this is where it starts to get a little bit messy for JDG, because ideally you'd love to have LvMao roam up and start to apply pressure. But because of Zeka hitting level 6, the teleport still available for Cube, the pressure on the map is firmly in favor of Vici.
It really is. And when you take a look across the roster here for Vici Gaming, Cheiftain in the jungle so far being really proactive this game. He's actually not the one we usually know for being proactive. When it comes to the two junglers available for Vici, Ix has typically been the one that likes to put his foot down on the accelerator pedal a little bit more. But Cheiftain showing in this series, he has more than one style. He's able to play more than one type of game. Here we go, knock up onto Loken. And you can see Kanavi's coming on into the play as well. Loken survives, and now the root, the knock up, everything onto Maestro, who just slides out of the fight anyway.
Just about on both sides, nearly having people go down. Cheiftain is on the way though, and I'm looking towards Zeka, shoving in the mid. He could start to lean towards this bottom side.
iBoy going to be here to clear the wave. Cheiftain just going to be helping him out. Good answer from Cheiftain, just to be present. Make sure nothing more can come of the play. Dragon, though, pings on both sides, showering onto that objective.
Well, with both of the bottom laners being a little bit low on health, everyone's going to back away. I don't think either jungler wants to start that up without clear advantages in that lane. So at the moment, neither team will try to go for the dragon.
And we have to go back to the very start here and remember that JDG are the heavy favorites coming into this series. They've got 3 wins on the board already in the LPL. Vici Gaming have a mere 1 series under their belts. It was against DMO that they managed to find their 1 win. But JDG, their only loss to FPX, and they managed to get a game in that loss as well. So there's kind of big expectations coming into this series for JDG. And so far, they've really been put to the test by Vici.
I think overall JDG have been hurt a lot more by losing Zoom. Even in the B-roll that we had at the start of the game, it was Zoom making a lot of these plays. He was the one in the forefront, providing a lot of pressure, and honestly, Zoom is one of the top laners we have in the LPL. Missing him and the synergy that innately goes with Zoom, Kanavi, and Yagao has hurt JD, I think, a lot more than we've really let on, or even JDG have let on.
Definitely feels like, you know, Zoom is one of these hyper-impactful players. He will find situations with the set, with the Renekton. But it feels like that's said about a lot of the players here in the LPL. That set and the Renekton, such huge impact picks. And I'd say that for a lot of top laners, they're almost higher priority than things like this Ornn.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Set picked over Ornn a lot of times. One, Set beats Ornn in lane. You can do just as much damage with that engage as well. So the Set priority, well, not even mentioning the flex, which you can work with Set, but overall this guy is just super strong in the current meta. see some nerfs on 10.5, but I don't think they're really going to make that much of a difference.
Here we go, bullet time onto Loken. He's forced to flash away as Maestro almost gets the knock-up. Nicely done there, just abusing the level 6 power spike on the side of Vici Gaming. But regrettably, there's not a whole ton can come out of that one, except for maybe this dragon now that Cheiftain's arrived.
Flash is down for Loken, but did just get access to the Featherstorm. Potentially could look to try and fight it, but Loken is backing away. If Vici read this, can go for that objective.
I'm very surprised that Vici haven't started the dragon already, to be quite honest. They are now going to go for this one. Cheiftain pulling it out before he starts the objective off. Kanavi is hanging around nearby, but Zeka's going to be here. He obviously had the mid lane priority. And now with the 4 of them, they can comfortably secure this objective.
I miss old school Galio, where you could do the flash taunt. There's some sick plays that came out of that combo.
Yeah, it certainly was a spicy meatball, but it was also pretty broken, which is why it was pretty much a must pick at the time.
Yeah.
So I can't say I miss it that much as an AD carry.
Well, it's the same. Well, yeah, you're an AD carry, man. I was a support main, so I was loving Galio at that stage. Or even like, it's the same way I miss like old AP Gragas. I miss them in a nostalgic sense, but I don't know how much I actually want them.
Yeah, very true, very true. Do you know what I do miss? Old Graves. Give me him back,
oh,
man.
Yeah.
Like, not even in a nostalgic sense. They literally took my main away from me for no reason. And New Graves sucks. I don't care what anyone thinks.
What, you don't like to be
He's
short range with a shotgun?
I'm actually mad about that still. It's years later.
Yeah.
I'm still mad about that.
Well, you've been playing League for a while now. You're what, 10 years now?
Yeah, I started in... I played my first game in Season 1, but I started properly in Season 2. Skarner release is when I really kicked off properly.
I can't even tell you when it was released when I was playing. I was the end of Season 3. I remember putting money in like to get riot points so then I could buy the champions to hit the 15 champs that you needed to play ranked to get placed in silver. It was great.
I don't even know if there was a champ limit when
you started.
I have no idea. I think there was only about 60 champions. But there you go. League has moved on a little bit, it's fair to say, over the years.
Yeah. Even the Rift looks so different now. I mean, if you look back at old videos, you're like, oh my god, is this really what got me hooked?
Yeah, it looked horrific, to be quite honest, but there you go. I mean, so did every game, though. Like, gaming in general has moved on a lot. We're going down the rabbit hole a bit here, but there's not a whole lot going on right now. The Herald going to be taken by Vici Gaming. They are the superior gamers as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're back into this similar situation where Vici took the Rift Herald last game, didn't manage to do a huge amount with it. I think this time around they should be able to potentially work with it a bit more.
Ooh, Maestro's been caught out a little bit, but Kanavi can't get there quite in time to capitalize on LvMao's CC.
So what I'd like to see Zeka do now that he's got the blue buff, pushing this wave super hard, work in tandem with Cheiftain to come down to the bottom lane, Cataclysm directly onto Loken before this flash comes back up, and then you have this chain of CC that is nigh on impossible for this Xayah to escape. You toss down the Rift Herald, and you start getting that snowball rolling that we were talking about, and crucially getting damage and items onto iBoy. I don't know if that's going to be the case though, because JDG look like they're reading this play at the moment as well, and they're putting wards galore in that bottom side jungle to spot out any sort of moves from Zeka.
Yeah, the jungle is just littered with wards. So it's going to be very difficult for Cheiftain to really achieve anything on the bottom side of the map. Maestro going to get caught here. Hero's entrance will come down as well. And suddenly the whole of Vici's here out of nowhere. Massive pickup for them. That's a kill into the pocket of Zeka.
And like a book, they're going to toss down the Rift Herald here. They have to pick up some of those turret plates for themselves. The idea here is just to shove it in a little bit more, start work on those turret plates before the Rift Herald are going to charge. But that's exactly what we just talked about. And because they engaged onto iBoy and it was closer to Zeka's side, he's actually able to engage faster and worked out even better for Vici.
Cheiftain actually tanking tower there, but they will walk away. They got, I think, 3 plates for themselves there, so nice little bonus for iBoy. He got the first plate solo as well, so an extra chunk of gold for himself. He's going to go for that Essence Reaver first. And once he hits that power spike, and once this dragon spawns in a minute's time, that's when you'd expect maybe we could have some skirmishing on our hands. Kanavi, though, he wants some skirmishes earlier than that. Won't find it.
I think we're going to see JDG struggle to keep control of these dragons. Because Vici have decided, look, we're foregoing any sort of map rotations to get Rift Herald. We've already picked up that objective. Well, we've got control with Zeke in the mid. We've still got Cube on the top side of the map who can do a lot of work in a teleport scenario. So I think right now Vici are pretty happy with the state of affairs and should look to continue pressuring these dragons and building them up and exploiting the fact that if they get to that 20-minute mark, 25-minute mark even, an Elder Dragon or Dragon Soul is on the cards, JDG will have to fight in a position where they're not comfortable to take that fight.
And it's important to mention that due to the pressure that Kanavi was able to put on the bottom side of the jungle there, Cheiftain couldn't come anywhere near this bottom lane for the last couple of minutes. And Loken has been able to take just as many tower plates as iBoy was able to with the Rift Herald. So really great answer in this bottom lane from JDG.
Yeah, this is where Vici need to start figuring out. You can see it just as you said it, Munch, on the screen. 240 to 240 apiece, so not snowballing in the way that Vici would have hoped for. But now that dragon is up, and Vici should be able to go for it. But again, slow calls on turning to these objectives.
Yeah, JDG, they're not going to let this one go without a fight.
They're trying to get Ornn down without the teleport so they can keep that advantage. So Cube is in a position to flank across these with the Call of the Forge God.
705's coming as well, though. This is going to be a full-on party. 705 isn't going to be here yet, though. If he wants to be a part of the play, he's going to have to teleport. And I don't think JDG are going to commit. Maybe they will, though. Yagao jumping on forwards. Maestro goes in to start the fight. Bullet time onto everyone as the hero's entrance comes on through. Massive combo, and Loken goes down in the end. iBoy traded, though. Everybody diving to the backside, and it's Kanavi straight onto Cube. 705 on his own, up against Cheiftain, and he'll be taken down in the end. Galio getting the kill. Now Zeka low. Yagao finding himself in a 2v2 alongside Kanavi. But it looks like JDG have won it out in the end. Kanavi with the triple.
And now they'll be able to turn on towards the dragon. The entirety of Vici Gaming tunneled to get onto Loken, which meant iBoy was exposed in the back line. The damage dealer we talked about was left to the whim of Yagao. Kanavi, they finish off iBoy, they pick up the objective, and not the way Vici were hoping to get this game going.
Absolutely not, and that's going to be a really nice pickup for JDG. They're going to look for this bottom lane tower as well. I don't think Yagao actually can finish this one off.
Maybe? He should be fine. He's got the distortions. He should be okay.
Maestro wants to make a play onto him, though. Tower won't actually go down in the end, and Yagao straight on into the alcove.
Oh,
Tower survives.
So okay, I think he's actually going to distortion in. Is he? I don't know. Maybe? No?
Uh-oh.
Yagao?
Maybe he's gone a little bit too far here. Slowed on up. Has to use the Mimic just to get himself to safety. It doesn't matter too much. All they need is one minion wave to crash into that tower, and it will go down anyway. So it's as good as gone.
And it actually means that Vici will get the bot lane turret for themselves first.
It does matter, because that would have been the first tower of the game.
That would have been the first tower of the game.
50 gold in Yagao's pocket.
That is
one auto
not
away.
An awful lot of times we get to 17 minutes into the game, and that's when the first tower is going down.
These two teams have been playing a slow-paced... It's been a slow-paced League of Legends here in the LPL today.
Only since you arrived. We were fine with the first series.
I'm sorry, mate. I was just... It's because I've been tweeting about COG more.
Yeah.
I've brought this on us all. Here we go. We've got a fight on our hands, though. 4 of them stacked up for Vici Gaming. There's going to be Zeka pulled into the death realm. 1v1 me, says 705. Zeka just going to be trying to dodge everything that he can. Redemption comes on through. But there's bullet time over the whole team. 705 CC'd and not quite taken down just yet. Cheiftain finished off as well. And JDG look fantastic in these fights. Loken walks away with his life. He's brittle, but not broken.
They don't have enough damage, though. Even when iBoy gets a full cast the bullet time over the team, there's too many members that are able to escape between the death realms, between distortions from Yagao. Even the Featherstorm wasn't needed for Loken there. JDG now finding the team fight victories and pushing on towards this Rift Herald. Look, I feel like if I'm Vici Gaming, this comp would work so much better with the likes of an Aphelios. That's not what they got. They got the iBoy here. They're trying to go for a wombo combo, but there's not enough follow-up damage at the moment.
It's been a really rough, difficult situation coming out for Vici Gaming in these fights, and it feels like JDG maybe have their number, at least for the mid game.
But watch how these fights are turning out, and keep your eyes on iBoy here. As soon as Miss Fortune sets up for the bullet time, JDG pounce. Especially you've got Yagao here, who's just looking for that ulti, and then goes straight in onto the back line, bursts out iBoy, so he's got to move back away, and they're not able to finish off these low health members of JDG.
Such great play coming out from Yagao, and it's always impressive to see a good LeBlanc in a team fight, because it can be difficult to team fight on LeBlanc. It can be difficult to find those opportunities, but great mimic on the distortion does massive damage across the team of VG.
And now JD have got themselves in control of this game. We're approaching that 20-minute mark. Yes, it's a 1k gold lead, but the potential for more gold is there. Rift Herald in the pocket of Kanavi. The outer mid turret is what they'd love to try and battle down at the moment, but having the side lane pressure come in from Vici Gaming means they need to deal with this in the sides before they go for mid. Kanavi
is going to be one of the players with the majority of the gold from his team when it comes to those kills, 3-0 and 3 on the Rek'Sai. It's worth mentioning that in game number 1, he was the one to get the first 2 kills of the game. He was the one with the gold lead, and it didn't work out for them. Hopefully, he can have a bit more of a game 2 performance here on the Rek'Sai.
Pings are going down like crazy in the mid lane. Zeka's roaming down the river. I don't know if they're worried about an engage from JDG or they want to try and start something themselves. With all these members in the bush, it looks like iBoy's on looking juicy to try and bait JDG into a fight.
Not juicy enough, says Loken.
Well, I mean, there's a dragon in 40 seconds, so that's obviously the juicier target here. They want to make sure they got all their engage, all those tools still available, so they can pick up an Infernal for themselves. Infernal Soul for this time around, and I know for certain JDG would love to secure that for themselves.
I have a feeling that Vici Gaming would also love to secure that for themselves.
Yep.
It's just a matter of who will be able to. And while it may be a juicy dragon, as you said, you can be the juiciest peach in the basket. Some people aren't going to like peaches, Dagda.
I'm pretty sure everyone likes Infernal Soul. You were nailing that analogy right up until the end.
I don't know. LeBlanc doesn't like it that much. He'd rather have an Ocean Soul.
I don't even think about that. Oh, really?
He was DMing me on Discord the other night. Yeah. That's not true. I'm not cool enough to know LvMao. The LvMao.
I don't know where to go with that, to be honest.
Mate, the world is your oyster. You can go where you please. And Shanghai is where you chose. But it's the Infernal Drake going the way of JDG. LvMao finds a hook, but Cube is bellowing his breath. And that makes him CC immune, apparently. Zero chains come out from Yagao. We reset once again. The ARAM in the mid lane continues. JDG trying to push in onto this town.
Yagao over on the side. They're trying to see if they can bait iBoy into stepping a bit too close to the wall. But right now, we're seeing what JDG do best, which is ARAM in the mid lane and forget completely about side lanes.
Well, iBoy's just picked himself up an Infinity Edge after recalling. And we are seeing some pretty significant power spikes coming through across the board. Obviously, the Infinity Edge I just mentioned. The Luden's Echo has been improved from the Ornn there. So Zeka going to have a good chunk of damage available to him.
I'm surprised to see him give it to Zeka. We were talking about like iBoy being the big damage dealer here. I assumed he would have given that first one over to the Miss Fortune.
Well, I think Miss Fortune literally only just finished the Infinity Edge. I'm not sure if Cube did the upgrade on the Ludens a little while ago. Couldn't he tell you?
That was a proper accent coming out of you there.
That's Scottish, mate.
Yeah.
Yep. That was for free.
Appreciate it.
You have to pay for the next one. You've been warned.
Do I get a choice in this matter?
No.
It's just whenever you're stuck for cash, it's like, I want to grab a beer.
just drop an accent. Look, that's just the way it happens. As you can see, we're losing our minds a little bit here on the cast. But JDG so far not losing their minds in the game. They're staying calm, cool, and collected. They're just farming it up. They're the ones with the advantage. They've got another Drake coming up in 3 minutes. They've got a minuscule gold lead of 1,000 at 23 minutes. But it feels like they're the ones setting the tempo.
I'd agree. They're doing a decent job of keeping at least the minions pushing in the top side of the map and on the bottom.
Ooh, hook onto Maestro. But that's the thing about Rakan. He's a slippery bird.
705 will trudge his way back to side lane duty at the moment, as both these mid towers are so low, but neither team is able to get them.
I feel like we could just do with a committal here from either team, because like look at the lineup from Vici Gaming. They can fight. This is a team fight composition. You can dive a tower with this composition. Just go for it.
Especially one at that health. I feel like you just give it a few knocks and it's fine. Looks like now iBoy is going to step up.
Here we go. Time to fight. And immediately Maestro is destroyed. It's going to be LvMao walking on forwards. He's tanky and he's going to look for a hook, but it's on cooldown. It's just going to be one pick. And you know what? Maybe we were wrong, Dagda. Maybe walking forward and just hitting the tower was not the solution to
Look,
the problem.
I'm totally fine with this. We baited them into actually doing something. Now a kill goes across. Tower goes over for Vici. And it's JDG's turn now to overextend for this tower. But Vici are going to actually give this one up for free.
Yeah, it's not quite an overextension since it was that 4v5. Or at least they thought so. LvMao had recalled. But they still have the pressure on the situation. And I want to bring your eyes back down to Yagao once again. Look at his items right now. Luden's Echo, he's got his boots, he's got his Morellonomicon. He is going to be a real threat to iBoy if he can find the right situation. You saw the damage out of him just there. Absolutely popped Maestro during the fight.
Yeah, he's going to be dishing out a ton of damage. Trying to looks like he's going to go for the Void Staff in the next purchase. I like it. I think when you're looking at how tanky this team is going to end up, having that Void Staff nice and early, the bonus reduction on the magic resistance is going to work wonders. It's overall gives them an opportunity to work off in these side lanes as well, which I think JDG will be pretty happy with.
Yeah, I'd say that that is a fair assumption to make, Dagda. I think they will be happy with a positive situation.
Have you stopped playing with your mic wire now?
Considered.
Or are you just going to keep going with it?
I will fidget as much as I damn well please. You Philistine, how dare you? Here we go, Yagao looking for a pick. He found the Sigil of Malice. And now we've got a bit of a fight between the tanks, LvMao and Cube going toe-to-toe. Yagao just dishing out the damage onto this Ornn. Call of the Forge God, that's a huge bullet time. Loken having to use the Featherstorm to keep himself alive. Kanavi using the stopwatch. And he's going to be the next one to go down, but his ultimate keeps him up for a second. And that's a kill into the pocket of Miss Fortune. iBoy doing a lot of work in the fight, but he's in the middle of nowhere. The 705 trying to clean up. Vici Gaming so low, and they're on the wrong side of the map now. Loken trying to finish off Zeka, who walks away. How is everyone surviving this fight?
It's only Kanavi that's gone down. Cube is so tanky that Loken can't get through him. Now they're still trying to press forward. Vici think they can take the fight, but the teleport.
Teleport coming on through. I don't think they've noticed it just yet. Here comes Yagao looking for Cheiftain here. Maestro steps on into the way. Ethereal Chains, though, will get onto Cheiftain. He's gone way too deep for that one. Cube teleporting in. He's found Loken, and he wants LvMao as well. iBoy gets the kill. No! It's a double kill for Cube on the Ornn. And suddenly, everything goes the way of VG.
And now they can turn around and go towards this Infernal Drake, pick up another one for themselves. But my God, you can see how long it takes to get through the health bars of Vici.
Wow, what a extended fight that was as well. I feel like that was a full minute-long fight. We had Cube re-teleporting back into the fray again.
I thought you'd be used to this after yesterday with the Ornn and the Maokai. These team fights lasting forever, but you can see, same idea here. Big beefy Galio, big beefy Ornn, Cheiftain with the Gargoyle Stoneplate. It's so difficult for Loken when no Last Whisper item has been picked up yet. You can see, watch, Loken is wailing away on this Ornn, and Cube barely feeling a tickle for most of this fight.
And you can see him using the Featherstorm there to survive. And Kanavi trying to do what he can, but he ended up 1v4 basically in this fight.
And this is where 705 is trying to put in as much work as possible onto Zeka. By taking Galio out, you're stopping such a crucial part of this combo. But the problem is that everyone's so grouped and still fighting for so long in this that 705 is given the 705's ultimate drops. Zeke is given the opportunity to come back in, and with a wide hook coming through from LvMao, they can't pick up another kill and maybe give Loken a bit more of the damage that he needs.
And iBoy throughout that fight, barely surviving. He had about 200 HP at one point. He was just in the middle of everything, but somehow waltzes his way out, and he was the one able to dish out the damage at the end that cleaned up the fight. Now Baron on the map still. It's Vici Gaming that finally have a bit of presence here, finally have the opportunity to try and force the issue.
And JDG can't try and pick off Vici Gaming in these scenarios. You don't have the damage to get through Zeka, you don't have the damage to get through Cube, and if you try and engage on Vici in the middle of the lane, well, this is fantastic because Zeka can pop down with the ultimate from top lane. You are going to end up burning teleports to try and answer, and Vici can start to re-roll with this cycle of ultimate into teleports. Even the Ornn ultimate to a certain extent works as this almost semi-global because of the range available.
Yeah, it's a massive ult, and in the right situation can be a game changer, especially if Cheiftain has found that Cataclysm first. The Ornn ultimate going through everybody that's locked in there can very much change the fight. Has to be mentioned that Cube has a ton of the gold for his team right there. You can see he's got 300 gold bounty, 4, 1, and 3 on the tank. You would have liked to see a few more of those kills on iBoy.
Hey, look, iBoy's doing okay for himself. An even bigger bounty at 350 gold. Has picked up the QSS as well, so if anything astray comes his way, say the likes of a chains from Yagao, can try and escape away from it. The only thing I will say, though, chances are if the chains are hitting you from Yagao, you're already dead.
Yeah, I think that's a dicey situation if you're an MF. But now, VG get the inside track on the mid lane here. They only get a couple of taps onto it, though. The rest of the team arriving for JDG. And Zeka wasn't with the team, he was over in the bottom lane, so they decide with him recalling, it's time that they all backed off.
We'll give Vici the opportunity to put some wards down before they get back onto the map. Back in at the same time here, so it's not like either team will have the tempo advantage coming in towards Baron. But still, I'd love to see Vici spread this game out. Have Zeka, well actually, I'd nearly say have Cube down on the bottom side of the map. His teleport will be up a little bit sooner. And you want Zeka a bit closer to the action, just so you can use that ulti as quickly as possible to get into these scraps.
Yeah, that's one of the powerful things about the Galio pick. You do have the hero's entrance that you can use. It's about, I'd say, a quarter, a third of the map that you can get overthrow from. So if he's up in the top lane, he can be split pushing while the Baron fight kicks off and then jump on into the fray.
See as well, hitting that level 16 mark. So firing on all cylinders when it does come to that ultimate. So now Vici will start to move in, looking to set up towards this Baron. Teleport, not quite available for Zeka, so still a decent chunk of distance to cover before he can use the ulti.
Why did VG not want to clear that ward? They've walked past that control ward about 7 times. I know they know it's there, because they just cleared a different control ward. Is that a observer bug or something? Because they've had time as well. It's not like they had to get out of there. I don't know, I'm confused.
Who knows? Well, Digital Malice not doing a huge amount there onto Maestro. Starting to get a little bit tankier as this Rakan, but not to a huge amount that he still doesn't need to worry about Yagao. Inferno Dragon in 22 seconds. So right now, Vici are trying to play both objectives at once. They know that JDG can't do this Baron particularly quickly, so they're going to try and go for Inferno and bait them back in.
Got a fight on our hands though. iBoy going to be knocked on up, and Kanavi jumping straight onto this Miss Fortune in the back line. He flashes over the wall and he's kept himself alive. Kanavi finishes the kill though. Cube wasn't there to protect him in the end, and Yagao going to try and follow up now. JDG looking fantastic in this fight. There's another one, and it's going to be 4 in the end for JDG.
And JDG see their opportunity. iBoy is not able to set up with the rest of the team for the fight, which means that they can pick off the Miss Fortune, go towards the Baron, and JDG now get control of this game firmly for themselves.
And the team fighting was exactly what we wanted to see out of JDG. When we talk about this squad, we talk about how, you know, maybe their sign lane pressure isn't that great. Maybe they're not the best at playing the map. but they are damn good at team fighting, and we get to witness it right there before our eyes. Not only do they get the Baron, they also get a second Infernal Drake for themselves and Soul Point.
I want to look at this replay one more time because this was fantastic play from JDG, realizing we've got the opportunity. Look at where iBoy is positioned right now. Nautilus ultimate, straight away a flash in from Kanavi. Yagao's going deep and then comes over the wall with the ultimate again from Kanavi. iBoy has no hope to get the damage off in these fights, and we said once iBoy goes down, Vici will crumble. It's exactly what we saw here, and now JDG can start to push effectively in towards these towers and possibly take down Vici.
And you know, at the start of this game, when we were looking at the compositions, I said to you that Vici Gaming had kind of flipped the switch a little bit on the draft. They'd moved away from the cog more, they've moved away from everything in the pocket of iBoy. But actually, when you think about it, it's still very much just on the shoulder of iBoy. He's just on a different champion. He's not on a hyper carry this time. The later this goes on, the more difficult it will be for him to carry.
And that's already the case. Loken has picked up the last Whisper, means that the tanks aren't anywhere as tanky as they used to be. Void Staff completed for Yagao. Also, that Rabbit on Death Cap nearly completed, which means iBoy has to be even more careful in these fights. So, look at iBoy's build. QSS, Hex Drinker. He just wants every magic resist item possible to keep himself safe.
He hasn't finished his tier 2 boots yet. That's actually a pretty significant damage item when you're talking about an AD carry. There's a lot of attack speed that comes from your boots.
I don't even know if he goes for Merc Threads in this. I know you don't ever buy Merc Threads for the magic resist. It's so small, but I feel in this scenario maybe it's worthwhile.
I mean, as an AD carry main, I will never buy Merc Threads. Berserker Greaves is the only way, with the occasional Tabby if I'm playing Ezreal. Or, you know, cooldown boots, that's cool too. Whatever your style is, just not Merc Threads, alright?
Alright. I've
talked myself out of my own point.
This is the best part, where I just let you ramble your way back out of it.
Dig myself a hole, and then build a ladder out of the dirt. Well, it's a stalemate here. As the Baron comes into play, Yagao slowly but surely chipping away at this turret. And there's really nothing Zeka can do about it, to be quite honest. And now Loken in the mid lane is going to do the exact same thing on the Xayah. Knocked up so high, can't even use the Feather Storm. And suddenly, the team fight doesn't look so great for JDG. 705 will be next. He's going to 1v1 Cheiftain for a bit, but really, what are you going to achieve here, mate? Actually, maybe he gets a kill here. Cheiftain's in trouble. Cataclysm comes down. Invincible. Not enough. Cheiftain barely walks away, but he does walk away.
That was such a big mistake from Loken. Feather Storm available, Flash and Heal available. He gets hit by the knock-up from Cube. And now Vici have an opportunity to deny that Baron push and start a push of their own.
Yagao just doing whatever he can to deter this situation. 4,500 gold lead for JDG. Teamfight presence, it felt like, especially with the Baron on their side. But one little mistake at this stage in the game can mean disaster across the board.
Yeah, you can see it there. You should never be caught out by that. You shouldn't, one, be standing beside the pillar that you know has just come out. And if you are going to try and bait it in, well, you got to be damn sure you're going to be with your finger on that Feather Storm. Loken gets caught out. But the big thing here is bot lane inhib turret went down. Yagao can now look to exploit that. 705 can look to exploit that. And with the Baron, or even that Inferno Soul potentially coming up for JDG in just a few moments, this is a point of weakness that Vici need to cover.
Yagao going to be heading back up towards this top lane, trying to put this split push pressure on. And we've already seen Zeka can't really match him in the 1v1. Yagao has had complete control of this side lane. He does have to respect, though, the roam is available for Vici Gaming. They could come and try and punish this. In the meantime, though, Yagao does have his teleport available, and Dragon will be spawning in 30 seconds.
So, well, each of them do. Well, Zeka more so has the ultimate available, so you can see wants to just push this wave as far back as possible and start to move across. This will be the last wave I imagine Zeka will push, because otherwise he's going to be late to the party, whereas Yagao can just TP pretty much instantly.
Yagao just going to be keeping on with the pressure. Oh, I say that. He's going to be recalling. It's going to be denied, though. Zeka trying to do his best in this 1v1.
Yagao's a bit low on mana. He now needs to back. So if Zeka can stop the port here from Yagao, should be okay. Not going to be the case, though. Now keep an eye on where the flank wards are for this LeBlanc. He wants to get onto iBoy.
Dragon super low. It's going to go the way of Kanavi, and that is an Infernal Soul right there. Hero's entrance, and that's a massive bullet time as well. But iBoy's in trouble as Kanavi's found him once again. It's a split fight, but it's going the way of JDG. Cube will be taken down by Yagao and Kanavi in the end. Kanavi going on a tunneling adventure around the map there, but Zeka suddenly alone, and LvMao does not want to let him get away with this one.
Now Zeka should be able to escape. I say that actually as Yagao wants to see if he can catch on, but no, they will just push in this bottom lane, pick up the inhibitor for themselves, and with that Inferno Soul, trying to stay safe as iBoy becomes far more difficult. And right now, this game plan that Vici have developed of protect the iBoy is not working out for them.
It's really not been a good strategy so far for them. iBoy really suffering in these fights, and now JDG get a Baron on top of everything else. They are rewarded for their great team fighting presence in Yagao this game. 5-0 and 11. Kanavi as well. Every single fight, he is all over iBoy.
This is a stellar performance from the JDG mid laner. And watch here, you can see everyone's focused on the front line. So Yagao, after picking up that Inferno Soul, gets straight onto iBoy. And it's the dynamic duo of Yagao and Kanavi consistently jumping onto iBoy that makes his life such hell in these fights. And even though Loken is going down quick, you've still got so much burst damage coming through from this LeBlanc. Rabadon's Death Cap, Void Staff, Morello's, Ludens. Even the tanks at this stage need to fear Yagao.
LvMao, I think, trying to bait the engage there. Just stepping forward inch by inch to see
don't mind
if
me.
anyone's nearby. But
I'm just a poor support.
yeah, Baron buff now in favor of JDG. You'd expect them to put on that split pressure once again. So far, they're not really being too aggressive.
This is the problem that we see pretty often with JDG, is that they're not willing to utilize these side lanes as best they could. 705 in my head should be down on the bottom side of this map, pushing in to get that open inhibitor and try and break open Vici altogether. But JDG, for some reason, seem fine to just play passive in the mid lane.
I mean, you have to bear in mind, last time they did the 1-3-1 in this game, they got punished. Loken got taken out and they completely lost control of the game.
I know, but that's more of a... That's not a mistake with the play. That's... Alright, the game plan, that's a mistake on the play with Loken.
Maybe they don't trust Loken. Maybe that's it, Dagda. We figured it out.
Well, minions will still sidle on down towards this inhibitor in the bottom lane, so Zeka will pick this one up. There's Baron buff still available. There's no dragon for the next 3 minutes. So, all the hype that we had around JDG finding that fight and making the plays happen, they're not doing anything.
I thought he was going to walk past another control ward there. I was going to be furious. It's unacceptable behavior, iBoy. No, he does get the ward in the end. And now, on towards the mid lane, we've got the Baron buff, and we're going to group up an ARAM with it.
Well, Yagao has finally made his way down to the bottom side, so he's going to look to try and take this inhibitor. This is going to be pretty good for them. I mean, look, we're looking at 230 before this next dragon comes up. Would love to see 705 step away towards this top side so they can actually get that tier 2 there. Because if you can put pressure towards the top, well, then it allows you to go for that dragon. And it's essentially the reverse of the way we usually see Baron being set up.
Oh, big damage from Yagao. Zeka really struggling in that 1v1. That's going to put a lot of pressure on, not just in the bottom lane, but also it means that another member has to move away from the mid lane. Yagao does have to be careful how much he overextends, though, because the rest of the team from VG will be nearby.
No minion wave in the mid lane. They haven't really got the timing on this. So Vici are doing an okay job of bopping back and forth between the two.
See a replay of that damage burst in the bottom lane there. Oh wait, is that? That's not even a replay. That's live. He's just still there. I thought everyone had backed away.
Yeah, Yagao needs this blue buff pretty quickly. The problem, they don't have the Baron buff anymore. They don't have the ability to try and push in. And Yagao is using so much mana because it's into tanks that he's not actually having the ability to take that inhibitor. So Baron goes across to JDG, but they don't extend their lead at all. And now Vici are given the opportunity to have a second chance when it comes to the Elder. If Vici can somehow manage to steal this Elder, it'll be a miracle because of the 3-level difference between Cheiftain and Kanavi. But it's still such a strong buff, it could turn the game for Vici.
That's what they're going to be relying on at this point, to be quite honest. 50 seconds until the Elder Dragon arrives on the map. And I don't know. It's not looking great for VG, to be quite honest. The last couple of team fights have not convinced me that VG can win a 5v5.
It's been a long time since I've casted with you, Munch, and heard the exasperation in your voice that I hear now. Not gonna lie.
Well, I'm not exasperated. What are you talking about? I just want iBoy to do well, man.
Yeah.
He picked Cog more for me.
This is a cool comp. Like, I actually really want this comp to do well because the idea behind it, and in the perfect execution scenario, it's great. But JDG aren't giving them the opportunity to do that. And 705 is backing with Elder Dragon spawning.
Yep. He does have TP, so it's not that ridiculous.
But it's more the 4 seconds makes such a big difference because it gives Zeka the opportunity to get the ultimate off. And now you got Yagao and Kanavi in awkward spots. This is a little bit dicey from both sides.
Kanavi pretty aggressively positioned here. Yagao will be able to get away. He's LeBlanc. That's what they do. He's an expert in that. LvMao pulling in Cube, but Cube really not the target that they want to go for there. Red buff taken away by Kanavi. Did use the smite, but he's got his second charge available, so it's not going to be a big issue for him. Zeka just going to be clearing out the wave in the bottom side of the map. JDG, they feel nervous here. They feel cautious when it comes to this Elder.
Well, you know that this is the call. The game rests on this knife's edge. And for JDG, it's a chance of redemption. They want to make sure that they stay at the top of the table. Whereas for Vici, this could be the game changer right here.
This could be the fight. 705 has found Cheiftain and he's pulled him into the death realm. This is not a fight Cheiftain can win. JDG will get the first pick onto the enemy jungler. There's a second one as well. And that might just be all she wrote for VG as iBoy goes into his GA. The hero's entrance won't do a whole bunch. And this is going to be everything now. Loken sweeping up every single kill. Cube running away. Zeka uses the stopwatch, but ultimately, it's a double kill for Loken, and now the base will be open.
They've got the minion wave in the bottom side of the map. You can see the teleport already coming through. 50 seconds on Zeka, 30 on Cheiftain. They're going for it.
Here we go. Cube, the last bastion of hope for VG, but I don't think he can survive the onslaught from Kanavi. And there we have it. It was a long, calculated victory, but it's a victory for JDG. And what a series between these two teams. Vici Gaming taking them to 3, but JDG stay at the top of the leaderboard.
JDG managed to knock another game out of Vici, and it's a very different style that we saw from Vici. Again, going for this protect the AD carrier, all of our eggs in the iBoy basket, but once again, that basket fell short.
Yeah, and I understand the composition when you're doing it with a cog more. With the Miss Fortune, though, it's not typically the carry that you would run in this style of composition. The Galio doesn't really offer the level of damage that you need in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I mean, when I look at it, I go, if this hits the mid-game in its stride, if you're bouncing off of one item, yes, you can try and do a lot in these team fights, but because the game dragged out so long, it meant that that window of opportunity had gone astray. Yagao was then putting pressure onto iBoy. And I felt if they'd gotten something like the Ophelio, something that can really be a late game carry in these scenarios, potentially Vici could have turned this.
Just look at those damage numbers. It was so close between the 3 carries on the side of JDG. All of them doing between 26 and 28,000 damage. Loken gets the little flame at the end of the day, though. So Well played by Loken on the Xayah. But it didn't really feel like these team fights revolved around him. It felt like Yagao was really the focal point.
It was Yagao and Kanavi. It was the dive duo going straight onto iBoy in every single fight. Nowhere for the Miss Fortune to hide. And nowhere for her to set up in these team fights. Yeah. This combo revolves around all this engage going down, iBoy shooting and blasting in the back line, but didn't get the chance to do that because there's so many flanks, there's so many angles that Kanavi and Yagao were coming from.
Now, I do want to say one thing, though. At least they got a game. Vici Gaming, we've seen something positive here for them. If the game can slow down enough, they have shown that they have some level of late game prowess. Clearly not as good as JDG when it came down to it. They weren't able to utilize the side lanes in the same way, and they weren't able to find any advantages over JDG. But at least we saw them get a win. We've seen a bit of a glimmer of hope here for VG. And that's what I was asking for at the start. If this is going to be a summer split team, let's at least get something here in spring.
And I think when we look towards the glimmers of hope, I see it in Cube. Cube was one of the people that at the start of this series we'd pointed out and going, you're not performing. His Aatrox looked very good. Yeah. The Ornn was looking a little, or not even the Ornn, what was it? My brain's gone at this stage. But the Mordekaiser even in the last game was looking fantastic. This is where we're starting to see Vici maybe come into their own. And with Zeka providing a good, not only offensive mid laner, but also we saw the defensive style in the Galio. This is maybe a team that can start to pick it all together.
Yeah, I certainly hope so as well. I'm excited just to see Galio coming into the meta a little bit as well. We saw OMG locking that in the mid lane as well. However, I do feel like if you're going to play with Galio, you need to be a little bit more proactive. Use that grand entrance, especially when you hit level 6. Make a play happen with that ultimate because it is so impactful.
And we saw that Vici were, fumbling the ball in a lot of situations. Game 2 was not using the Rift Herald. Cheiftain dying before he gets to use it. Giving over objectives that they should have been able to start and utilizing that combo we were talking about a lot earlier. Vici just needs someone to make that decisive call. I thought Maestro coming back into the team might have been that voice. That's not showing for me here, although they do look at least a little bit more proactive with Maestro.
I mean, Maestro made a few attempts across the course of the game, but I do think that it's very difficult, especially once you get to the later stages when there's a lot of CC on the opposing side. As a Rakan, if you get locked down, you do just get absolutely deleted.
I mean, Rakan, you get locked down, or iBoy is going to get locked down on that Miss Fortune as well. There was a lot of not happenings for Vici, but at least the ideas, the thought process is there, and we're starting to see it all line up for it.
And I do want to bring up the conversation as well of, yes, JDG, they get themselves a win here. They do look good. Their team fighting looks pretty good. Their map control, definitely something to be desired remaining there. Very little play around the side lanes.
And if we're looking at their next game, which is against BLG, they need to start playing around these side lanes. If BLG get a whiff that you're going to let them sneak away with a Rift Herald or find some other objective on the map, they're going to be very happy to do so.
Yeah, they really will. And BLG as well, a very slow team. So BLG, JDG, I don't know, maybe we could have a long series on our hands there. We'll have to wait and see. But JDG, I'm glad that they're getting this win on the board. I'm glad they're showing that they can beat a team like Vici Gaming. But struggling this much against a team that is right down at the bottom of the table, certainly not a good sign for JDG.
I want to see what Vici now takes away from this game. We've slowly seen them start to try a whole bunch of different things as the spring split has gone on. We've seen Forge on Jace duty. Now we're seeing iBoy on the carry duty and Soul carry duty. We've seen Zeka come in. Maybe we go for this poke with the Zoe. They're starting to feel around and try and figure out what they want to do as a team. And once they find that niche, like we've seen with E-Stars and FPX and IG, you just have to find what's the soul of your team and then run with it from there.
They've just got to get their mojo. They've got to find their mojo. We'll see if they can find it in the coming weeks. Our MVP for this game is going to be Yagao on the LeBlanc, and I think rightly so. 82% kill participation, but it was all about not necessarily how much of the team's damage he did there. It's more about when and where that damage came through, because so many times it was truly impactful in the fights.
Where being the most important part, because every single bit of that was going towards iBoy, and if Yagao is bursting out that AD carry, then he can turn his attention to the rest of them, because the only person that he had to worry about was that Miss Fortune, and that Miss Fortune did not survive.
0 deaths in that game as well, which is very impressive because I think it was, what, a 44-minute game, I think? That's a long time to not die, and especially when he was trying to do the split push thing on the LeBlanc. Nice, safe play, really impactful during those team fights as well, so well played to Yagao, and that's his second MVP so far as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these guys start to come in their own. I mean, look, when you talk about JDG, you're looking at Yagao in the mid lane. You're looking towards the likes of Loken in the bottom side of the map. These are the guys that you expect to step up and take these MVP performances.
Yep.
I know Zoom has a couple for himself there as well, but now we've got to see with Zoom missing who's going to step up to help fill the shoes that JDG want.
Well, with that said, it's about time that we start to wrap the show up for today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at where we stand after all of the action. Hours and hours ago, it feels like E-Stars managed to beat out V5 2-0 to start the day off. They struggled a little bit, especially in the second game, but they took the win nonetheless. Then OMG managed to find the upset against BLG, and we rounded out the night with JDG 2-1 up against Vici Gaming.
Yeah, 2 very slow series at the end of the day, but at least we still see OMG with the upset. BLG being knocked back by Suning, by OMG, and now we've got to see what happens in their next series coming up against JDG that we touched on.
And we'll see what's coming up for you guys over the course of the rest of this week as well, because we have a whole bunch of very exciting matches. But tomorrow we have EDG against Rogue Warriors, and we have WE against FPX. Now that first matchup, if you'd asked me a week ago, I wouldn't have been that excited. Based on recent results, though, that could be an insanely close game.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors coming off the back of nearly taking down Invictus Gaming. And then on the opposite side of the bracket, you've got a team that only last week took down E-Stars, who are also sitting at the top of the table. So this is now looking like a very different story for these guys.
Rogue Warriors are showing a lot of really cool stuff. I'm excited for what the future could hold on that team. I want to see them taking this one. I'm not biased or anything, but I'm not casting it, so it doesn't matter that much. I want to